Hey everyone, it's Emily from Tabletop TCG, and I'm doing a bit profile on my Astral books. So first we play, obviously, find a new style. It's just the generic V starter, win road, draw a card, crit shield. Very simple. Next we play 4 Stratification. This card's really good because it is a green one, and when placed on Guardian Circle, you put it to Soul, which is really good because obviously Soul Charge and Genesis is really good. Then you, when placed on Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 to reveal any Astral Poet or Astral Deity, and search your deck for Further Will, which is really good because obviously it gets you the it sets up your grade 2. So you don't need to worry about having grade 2 in hand on your turn. As long as you have this in hand at your starting turn, at the start of the game, then you've guaranteed your grade 2 ride, which is really good. Next, the other grade 4s we run is for DK of the Just Path. So on place, card from hand to soul, check top 7 for an Astral Poet, for up to 2 Astral Poets. If you found 2, you get to put the you get an imaginary gift marker. So you add up to 2 Astral Poets from top of deck to hand, and then you get a force marker. So obviously force marker acceleration is really good on the deck, so you want as much as that as possible. Adding cards to soul is really good because you can put the heal trigger to soul, counts as a grade 3 in the soul, which is really good. And obviously it just helps to filter through a deck, which is good. That's it for grade 1, so we only run 8. As like I say, you can break sometimes, but because you see your grade 3s quite often in this deck anyway, because of stuff like this, because of DK and other cards, as long as you've got this in hand, then you're basically fine. So sometimes I send like 4 or 5 cards back just so I can guarantee seeing this, and then the deck runs fine. Then we run 3 Fervent Will. So Fervent Will, as I say, you can search off the grade 1. So you can, when you ride this, you search for this grade 2. So this grade 2 says it gets grade plus 2 in Soul. So in Soul it's a grade 4, which is really good. And when placed, you Counter Blast and reveal an Astral Poet or Astral Deity from your hand, and you get a force marker. And if the grade 1's in Soul, you draw a card. So she replaces herself, she gets a Counter Blast. She's only 1 Counter Blast, so your opponent almost always has it live on your turn if you go first or second. And then you get to draw a card and get an Astral marker. So this plus this is 1 marker on your grade 2 turn. And if you've activated this and got it off, and obviously that's 2 markers on your grade 2 turn. Really good. Next we run 4 Constellations. Constellations is always a good card. 5k for each force marker, so obviously if you got the 5 force markers, that's plus 25 to him when he attacks, so he's 35 base without force markers. And when placed, you can Counter Blast and act. If you've got 3 or more force markers, you can once per turn Counter Blast to draw a card. So that's really good. It's draw power. You don't Counter Blast too much in this deck. It depends really how the game's going, if you do or not. So there's Counter Blast for that. So yeah, it's really good. It's just a really good boost card because this deck rests all your grade 3 rear guards. So you want big beat sticks on the rear guard, so it's good. Next, grade 3s. That's for grade 2s and 1s. We run 8 of each. Like I say, you don't need too many of these because if you have one of this in your starting hand, you guarantee your grade 2 ride, so you're not going to break, and you're going to have your ride up, so you don't need to worry about it too much. Next, we run 2 Astral Dragon. Skills irrelevant. It's basically just there as an extra Astral Dragon. I find if you don't run these 2 and only run 12 grade 3s, 12 Astral Poets, I found that DK basically never goes off. A lot of the times when I've tested it and not run these 2 and only run like extra grade 1s for example, I've never got DK off. Almost all the time that I'm not running this, DK only gets me 1 on 0. Every time I run this, DK gets me 2 almost every single time. So I definitely think you need to run 14 grade 3s. Next, for Aesinus Dragon, can't pronounce it. The Holy Heaven Dragon. It's PG, which is obviously really good. Gets around Sentinel Stoppers because it doesn't count as Sentinel. Just when placed on Guardian Circle, you get to discard an Astral Poet or Astral Deity, and a unit can't be hit. So obviously it's a PG. And when placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you can Counter Blast, search your deck for an Astral Deity, reveal it at your hand, and if you did, you get a Imaginary Circle and a force marker on your Vanguard Circle. So it's really good. Obviously calling it a Rearguard is good. I always forget that it's a Rearguard effect. I always ride it first. Ride it if I have to, but it is a Rearguard skill, which is really good. And obviously it has the continuous effect of Vanguard. If you have 5 or more force markers on your Vanguard, your back row center becomes an Astral Plane. So it says the PG and it searches your Astral GT, which is really important. Because a lot of times you don't see it just because of bad luck. Next we run 4 original Gleaming Lord Uranus. So this is obviously continuous Vanguard, back row center becomes Astral Plane, you've got 5 force markers. And when placed, you Soul Blast 2 to get a force marker. Now this happens mostly late game, or depending on what you've rode. If you ride this first, then calling this to get more markers just to helpfully get that 5 early on is useful. You don't normally use it though if you go into this next card. Next we run Origin DT of everything like Uranus. So it has the X ability of if your Vanguard has 3 or more force markers, you can Soul Blast 1 or more cards equal to the grade of 5 or more. So obviously this is where Will, counting as grade 4 in Soul, comes up. So obviously if that's grade 4 in Soul and you got the grade 1 in Soul, that's 5 there. So you only need 2 cards to Soul Blast for his skill. And obviously DK, if you put cards in which is grade 3 or more, which is grade like 3, you can put a grade 3 in Soul in the game, like the grade 3 heals. And then that's a grade 3 in Soul for his skill. So he's got that skill, and then the second effect is what I'm most using for. So once per turn, you can rest 2 Astral Poets, so you have to call 2 grade 3s, but that's not a big place, so we run 14. And then you get to rest, and at the end of battle your Astral Deity attacks, you rest 2 Astral Poets and stand your Astral Deity with -5 drives. So most of the time, you swing with this first, give all crits to Valkyrian. Valkyrian attacks for 70k, hopefully with crits, and then you get to restand it at the end of battle. So 70,000, 2 crit, hopefully more crit, depending on if you got triggers. So it's really strong. Ideally this is your first ride because you have 3 force markers with this. You should have 1 if you rode Will, so that's 1. Ride this for free, and then you just need a way to get 1 more, which is very easy because you can call down like other Uranus, or you use another one, the grade 2 skill. So there's plenty of ways of getting it. Or if you're missing the Astral Deity, obviously you can call 8th Dragon down to rearguard and get another force marker. Next, Valkyrian, 70k. On place on the Astral token, top 5. Ideally get the highest grade, so you don't want to, if you can, get grade 5, if you can get grade 3, obviously get the highest grade every single time, because you get that many drive checks. So if you see him in top 5 on his skill, you ditch him to drop, and then he gets 5 drive checks. The drive checks go to Soul, which is obviously more of a balancing thing, because obviously if you got 5 drive checks and they all got to hand, that'd be crazy. So this is 5, so you run to, obviously this guy ideally gets as many crits as possible, as many drive checks as possible, so then you drive check as many times, hopefully get as many crits as possible, put them onto him, and then restand using Heavenly Light skill, which then obviously makes it really big and really powerful, because that can activate when your opponent's on grade 2. So your opponent's on grade 2, especially if they don't have the Heal Guardians, you can use this. This swings for 70k to crit and restanding, so it's really strong. Next, because we're a deck which is all or nothing, we run 4, 8, 12 crit. So there's been a lot of times where I do want to run the draw PGs, just because like a lot of time I can only just survive, but this deck needs a 12 crit. Because you want to kill your opponent as fast as possible with Valkyrian. So you want to see as many triggers as possible, because Valkyrian is already hitting for high numbers, so you don't care about numbers. You just care about the crit. So you want to see Valkyrian, get 5 drives, and ideally see at least 1 of your 12 crit triggers. And then obviously you do the Valkyrian combo. And then finally we run 4 Heal Guardians. The grade 3 heals over the 20k shield, because ideally we kill an opponent as fast as possible, so we don't need the extra 5k. And this just helps stop rush if my opponent rides up first. And also obviously it's a grade 3, so you can put it into Soul with the grade 1 DK, and it counts as grade 3 in Soul for Heavenly Light. So Heavenly Light, if you don't have the grade 2 in Soul, it counts as grade 4. You can put this to Soul with 3k early on, and it's grade 3, and then obviously you should have a grade 1 or something else in there, so you reach the grade 5 and then really off. I definitely think that this is needed over the 20k shields. So yeah, everyone, that's been my Astral Poet deck list. So make sure to like, favorite, comment, subscribe, and have a gaming.